All right, folks, it's time for Shiny Side Out with David Dunger and Necky. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. Take it away, guys.
Welcome to Shiny Side Out with
Dave
and Mackie. We're coming to you live from the Freedom Slips Sydney studios, and this week we're both in Sydney, or nearby. And we are one piece of the information super puzzle on Revolution Radio on freedomslips.com. You can talk to us in the chat room while we're on the air, and yes, we are coming to you live. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook to get updates between our shows, and you can check out shinysideout.net for our show archives, show notes, and links we paste into the chat during the show. And you can also get one of these apps for your smart device. There's Revolution Radio, TalkStream Live, TuneIn.com, and also RadioTuner.com. And you can also purchase a Grace Radio. What we'd really like you to do, though, is go to www.freedomslips.com and jump into the chat right now, which is what I'm going to do. The number you can call if you're in the United States is 347-688-2902. The number again, 347-688-2902. Or via Skype, you can simply add Freedom Screen one word. Dave, how are you?
Oh, yeah, good for asking. Thanks, actually.
Hello?
No, lies. They're all lies.
Dave? Are we still on the air? I do hope
The old double mute trick.
The double mute, nice.
Yeah, you know, what I actually said when you asked me that was, yeah, all good except for, well, nothing's bad. Not true, all lies. This week I've been madly... I get the promo now, good on you. I've been rewording the promo, everyone, just to make it easier, because it was getting a little tongue-tied in the middle there. So this week I've been doing nothing but reviewing what Ison has for us. I broke my foot last weekend, and I, like a trooper, went to work with shoes on all week. Mind-bending pain, by the way. But I've also been doing some research into the dirty space theory that I've been putting forward and seeing how much information I can get in relation to that, which is pretty neat. And I think I'm going to put enough information together for us to do a show on it.
Nice.
So without giving too much away on that, I think it's pretty cool. A bit of cross-promotion. Finally, the interview, pardon me, with Third Phase of Moon, my interview with them went live. Thank heavens. It took a while.
Nice.
And it's already had 10,000 hits.
Beautiful.
Which is pretty good. One book sale. Don't you love those odds? Huh? They're awesome.
So for every 10,000 people that listen to us, one will purchase a book. I like those odds.
Yeah, well, you know, I bet on that.
I'll bet on that every day.
Remember, it's not about the sale; it's about the information getting out there. So I'm pretty happy with.
Well, let me just put my 2 cents. It's about the sales too, right? And
it's all you know. We can't make money off the show by being hosts. There's really, it hasn't, the amount of money I've earned from it is basically, I think, 2 months of internet so far. Awesome. Looking forward to receiving those royalty checks whenever that happens. But you know what? Getting a story out there and getting a practice out there is great, because I still want to write a sci-fi, so getting my story out there, at least it gives me some grounding. So that's pretty good. Mackie, how about you? You're in the country.
Yeah, I'm back. I've returned. They let me back in, which is always a good thing.
Hey, despite what I did.
Hot dog. I knew there was something going on. Yeah, look, guys.
They said they weren't going to let you in.
I know that's what they said.
It cost me a lot, too. Obviously, I spoke to the wrong guy.
You did. There's only one guy to talk to, and you spoke to the wrong one. What can I say, dude? Get your henchman right. That's all I can say to you. No, look, yeah, I came back from Singapore initially we did the show there last week.
Mm-hmm. That went well too, actually.
Yeah, I thought it went okay, right? So I have no issues with that. We also I went to India after that, and if I had stayed there this weekend, we would have tried to go or to come to you rather from India, which would have been very interesting, I think. But that
every 10 minutes you'd have to start pedaling on the bicycle.
Well, that's it. Like the infrastructure there is. Let me put it this way, right? The infrastructure is not bad. The problem, though, is that it is. I guess it's getting older, but not only that, people are not paying income tax. Only like 3% of the population is paying income tax.
Are they meant to?
Yeah, they are. And there are also a lot of people stealing electricity. I mean, a lot, right? A lot. So the question is, why is the infrastructure bad? Because it's not catering for people stealing all the stuff they should pay for. So there's no upkeep or maintenance, and the stuff that is stolen is ranging in the probably 60 to 70% of electricity. So that means stuff keeps going down, right? And that's why the connections there are pretty bad. People don't really have landlines because the copper is dug up for its value, which is interesting. So mobile phones are really huge over there, right? And everybody's selling something by the side of the road. I mean, it's astonishing, and it's a little disturbing. Like I said, I think it is a view into our future, is my opinion. You can disagree with me, which is fine, but I do believe that what we see in India today, if you go to any major Indian city, or maybe even to some extent Chinese city, you're looking into our future. But yeah, so it was an interesting trip. Thank you, sir, for asking. Didn't get stopped at any border, which, again, I'm always amazed about. If you knew what I looked like, you wouldn't be amazed, that is. And maybe you wonder you will. Maybe Dave and I will put out that video we've been speaking about, about a whole bunch of things. Having said that, though, we are having a whole bunch of news for you guys, and a lot of them actually tie in with our topic today. The news we want to talk or discuss with you is around the shutdown of the United States government and the impending default on their national debt. Now, not the entire national debt, just on that particular payment on October 17th, which is very, very interesting. We actually, I have a relative who works for the American government, and right now she ain't getting paid. Okay, so it's a real thing, and people are not getting paid. However, Congress, I believe, did pass a bill that said you will get back paid, guys. If you're working for the U.S. government and you're not getting paid right now, there will be back pay, and apparently that's quite a revolutionary thing. What do you think, Dave?
I know you want my opinion.
I mean, back pay. Right?
It's not rosy.
It's not, right? Yeah.
The last time in 95 and 96 when there was a shutdown, the economy was in much better shape. There was, I think, 7 or 8% interest still with the lending rate, so it had a long way to go. Now being zero, not so much. If you have a look at the unemployment levels today, way higher than back in 95, 96. And I was having a deep discussion with my poor, unfortunate lunch partner at work. He said, "Oh, how are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I've just been doing research on the shutdown and what the implications are." And he goes, "Oh, tell me." I said, "Are you ready? I mean, do you want to know?" And you're right, Meki. This is... We thought Greece was bad, right? With the credit default swaps, the CDSs.
Yeah, that's right.
And the insurances on lending.
Yeah.
If the US happens to default on it and they are determined to be in default, it null and voids the CDSs that are bought or purchased previous to this, which are an insurance, for the lesser value.
Yep.
Yeah. So, for the greater value. So if the US defaults on its payment by only paying 90% on its CDS value, and someone took out a 91%, I loaned you money, Meki, for instance, you're the US and I'm whoever, China, I don't care, and a third party is hedging, I shouldn't say hedging, but betting whether I would default or you would default to me, yeah?
Yep.
So someone out there, say our beloved Tones, he has he's lent you money too, but his is at 90%, he got his CDS, his credit default swap, at 90%. When I loaned you money, mine was at 91%. If you pay back 90%, yeah, 90, he's still covered. I'm not.
Yeah.
Right? And mine says everything down to 91%. So if you make almost all your payment, like 95%, my insurance pays for the difference.
Yep.
However, if it doesn't, the company that issues the CDS can go quite upside down. And that's what we saw with Greece. They ended up having to cut, this is big news. Back in May, they had to cut, this is Greece, their total bonds that people had purchased from them. They cut the value in half by government decree, so they could use half of that money to pay back their loan so they didn't default. And they were also not declared default at 49%. They only paid back just less than half of their loan, and all the CDSs were worthless. And it cost a lot of money in the banking industry.
Yeah.
This is what we're staring at. You don't just hop down a rating, it's all good. Oh, I missed a house payment. Yeah. Oh, we'll just make it up. No, you don't just make it up. It's annual that your ratings, your AAA rating or AA or whatever it is, A rating, or A plus rating, or B, or we should never loan these people money ever again rating. Those ratings are done annually. And if you miss it, if you make a mistake in that year, well, you're going to have some bad times. But it's not just you and the lender that have bad times. It's the people taking out the CDSs, the underwriters of that mortgage. And that's really dangerous. Despite saying that, the money go round in the US is dwindling. The really reason why there's so much debt out there is because of the de-skilling of white-collar workers down to Walmart employees, just, people sweeping the floors and stuff and doing stock renewal on the shelves. Is their wage, while they might still be gainfully employed, they're not earning the money they used to, therefore they're not paying the taxes they used to. That means the money go round, which is that big central pile of money everyone puts in and takes from, the government including, has less of it. Now, we've seen this in Australia. Suddenly, yeah, the dude guy's right. Some banks have begged for multiple trillion-dollar bailouts from the US government. That's exactly right.
Yep.
And are the ones that force Greece to devalue their currency? Yes. So we see this, and our dollar's rising against the US in fear that the US dollar turns upside down. And the only, once again, to reply back to Dude Guy on this one, the only thing that saved Australia, and we're 2.25% above the rest of the affected places for our lending rate, 2.25%. Our federal bank does that, our central bank does that. And that is that our austerity measures, which was interestingly brought up by Dude Guy, was just Uncle Kevin's Christmas bonus. The Prime Minister gave everyone, was it $2,000, Mecky?
Well, yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And we all went out and bought big screen televisions.
Yes.
We saved the retail economy.
That's true.
In this country, and all of that money went back, like 10% of it because of our GST, went back to the government. So they only spent really 90% of it. But then because the retailers earned all the money, there's another 30% of that income went to the government. That's 40% so far of that $2,000. But then those companies and their employees went on, they kept their jobs, and they went on to spend money. They get about 99% of the money back that they gave us, the government gave us, they got back. So it really didn't cost them anything in the long run. And yet we're afloat, luckily. But looking at the amount of money that they gave the American banks, they could have taken a hit and let the bank fall over and given the people the money, and they wouldn't be where they are right now.
But, you can't do that because they're your buddy from the Ivy League school. Or one of the guys is your buddy, the others are your buddies. So,
Yeah, that's right.
So and I'm not just talking about Ivy League schools in the States. When I say Ivy League, I mean institutions like Harvard and Oxford in England as well, and German elite schools, African elite schools. Having said that, most of the elite though goes to the schools in the United States and in England. Right, all over the world they come to those schools. In fact, the international schools all over the world cost between $20,000 and $30,000 a term for students. That's high school, and then it's a fairly smooth road into the Ivy League schools from there. So make no mistake, you're not going to take money from your buddy, because then you won't have a boat to go on the weekend and grill the meat or whatever it is that you grill.
The shrimp on the barbie.
The shrimp.
Yep. So this is we're looking at this, and our news in Australia is actually playing this. Now in America, they're dodging the topic, because I watch it from, I don't know, like 11 o'clock at night till 4 in the morning. The American news. I get no sleep now because I'm watching. It's like you don't want to miss the event.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to wake up in the morning and see America's turn upside down. Yeah, I want to see it as it's happening. And I think at least by being able to get out there and watch this stuff, it's interesting. So the shutdown just continues. Obama's declared he's not going to go to Indonesia. Yeah.
Yeah, he cancelled his whole Asian trip.
That's right. That in itself implies there's more to it than just money.
Well, yeah, there is, and it's far-reaching. The consequences are potentially, like you pointed out, dire. And we looked at the macroeconomic scale, I guess, to some extent, but how is this going to affect people? And this is all of us. Well, outside of America, not immediately, but certainly in the long term it will. Immediately, though, in America, what can happen is a number of things, because there's a knock-on effect. If you don't pay several 100,000 employees of the government, they don't have any money to spend. So all the businesses that rely on those people don't have any money to spend, because they're not getting any money from the people that normally would have bought it, right? So I would say a lot of business around government campuses, government buildings might go into default because they simply can't pay the rent. All right, they can't order new goods.
I think there's already 2 million civilian and contractors who have been sent home.
Right.
And they don't get paid.
Right. Oh, you mean back pay? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they don't get back pay. It's only the permanent employees who get back pay.
That's right. So it's actually a scary knock-on effect. And once you look at it on even a smaller scale, as this keeps ticking on, this will then have an impact on exports and imports. So countries that might import goods into America, like China, for example, and India, they're massive exporters, and the Americans are buying a lot of their goods. If those goods are not being bought because people don't have any money, then that will falter as well, and there will be other knock-on effects. The suppliers for those companies will make a loss, and there will be more people unemployed. So potentially, I'm not saying it will, but potentially this has the makings of a worldwide depression, not a recession, not some kind of corrective action on the market, but an actual...
Like the 20s.
Correct, sir. Worst case scenario. Scenario, it'll be depression like the 20s, which, of course, we all know culminated in something wonderful called World War II. And that's something that we really don't want. We really don't want to see that. But
we're not doing that again, yeah?
Well, that's what they say. However, having said that, the unfortunate thing is when a crisis like this, or crises, because this is a number of crises, right, or crises that we're looking at here, a culmination of a crisis material, if you will, and what happens is that the only way out is through a massive catastrophe. And that could be a war, it could be a viral outbreak, some kind of epidemic, it could be a natural disaster. Any of those, with war being the preferred one because people make money from it, significantly, is the only possible way out of this kind of scenario, unless something entirely new is around the corner, some amazing technological advance, some announcement of momentous occasion, maybe that we're not alone. Again, I'm just putting it out there. And nothing else is likely to get us out of this particular crisis, because it already has started. It's like the glacier that's starting to melt, right? Initially, you don't see much happening, but it's already happening underneath it, and there's like a slick created under it, and given enough time, the entire glacier will just break off.
There's a tipping point at which it fails.
Correct. I don't think we're quite there yet, but certainly this crisis is not helping.
Yeah, I agree with you. So it's a car crash, and we're watching it. And yes, everyone's been talking about the fiscal cliff for a long time, at least a year. And there's been a couple of, dodges and weaves to get around it. But I really think this is the nail. I think this is it. One of the things that, Meki, one of the things I've been doing a few roundtables this week, and for all of the preppers out there, it's something that's sort of hit home with them, yeah? And that is, a government shutdown is the easiest way to conceal a bunker deployment.
Right. Right. You mean for the government?
Yeah, if the government was to
true.
abandon their post
Yeah.
without a shutdown, you'd notice, yeah?
Yes. Where are they all? I don't know.
But
In the
now
bunker.
they've said, actually, no, the shop's closed. We're not dealing with anything, and they could just disappear.
Yeah, that's true.
So that brought me to something that was really interesting. I was looking at with ISON this week, and the FEMA Region 3 scenario.
Right.
And I found some debunkers out there, and I thought, well, cool. I'm gonna listen to it. I have to. If I'm going to call myself a researcher, I'm gonna get out there and listen to the debunkers, see what the information is, do my googling,
Yeah.
And guess what? The debunker, I debunked the debunker.
Really?
Yeah, he said, hi, I'm. Pardon me, Steve, for mentioning your name, Steve. I won't put the link in, but everyone will hear it when they see it. Hi, my name's Steve, and he's wearing like a camo, looks like a military top.
Right.
Not a t-shirt with camo, but definitely camo, military style gear. He's got a nice backdrop. He looks like he does this video blogs all the time. And he said, the email that started the Region 3 thing was this email to some lady, Reverend, whatever her name is, I forget now. It's been a long week. And it came from a retired senator. So he goes, well, I'm going to straighten it up. I'm going to straighten the air, clear the air with it. I'm going to call him straight up. So he calls this retired senator. He supposedly calls the retired senator.
Right.
To which he asks him a number of questions, clearly the best questions you could ask. Did you send an email to this lady? He says no. Did you send any email? He goes, yeah, I sent an email, but it was talking about FEMA stuff. Great. So he didn't seem like he was dismissing the fact that he'd sent the email. But here's the thing I like about it. I recognize the voice of the senator.
Was it Christopher Walken?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, man.
It wasn't me. It was, in fact, our beloved Arizona. The
Phoenix?
guy that Hawk interviewed about Nibiru some 2 years ago.
Okay.
Nor nearly. 18 months, maybe. So that went so viral that everyone on the entire internet would know who that guy is now.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, even my late grandmother, who'd never heard it. But I'm telling you, it's Arizona for sure. Absolutely for sure. I've confirmed it with a couple of guys that work in the background of the radio station, and they confirmed it too. So the whole thing was put on, and good on you, Steve, whoever you are out there, trying to debunk something to water it down a bit. But guess what? It's alive and well. So that was basically all about Region 3. Yeah, so the Region 3 stuff still exists, still is alive and well, and whatever that happens to mean, I'm not going to... Just you Google it, you'll find your own info out there. ISON, I found some information that was put out by a university, which is interestingly enough to do with when it hooks around the sun in perihelion, there's a possibility that it could break up and become a little bit unreliable as far as tracking is concerned. Something interesting, when I was doing all of the research trying to find out what's going on, was also that www.nasa.gov is gone, buddy.
Say what?
The website.
No, it's not.
Excuse me.
Is it really?
Yep.
I'll tell you what.
The sub-sites exist.
Live. This is live, and I'm going to go to NASA. Wait for me.
Due to the lapse in federal government funding, this website is not available. We sincerely regret this inconvenience. So they're stating it is an inconvenience. For information about available government services, visit usa.gov. Este sitio web no se esta. Sorry, I won't read it in Spanish.
Whoa, it's not even coming up. And I don't have slow internet. I just have normal internet, and it's very not coming.
Here's the redirection that you end up to.
To the U.S. government directly?
The U.S. government shut down. Due to a lapse in funding, the U.S. government has shut down, blah, blah, blah. That's it. Call this number.
In case of emergency, go to the Russians. Please call the Russian government. They're still functioning.
Please seek the new world power, China. Insert name here, China.
This is incredible. You're right. Due to lapse in funding, the U.S. federal government has shut down. Call 1-800-FED-INFO for answers to government questions. I'm sorry.
Hello.
That's funny. I still can't get through to NASA, though. That's still looking...
No, it's www.nasa.gov.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah, and all you get is a single page that says it's shut down.
Okay.
Forget it, which is great, really, to be honest, especially when the greatest event of modern era, ISON, the best, then possibly the brightest thing that we've ever seen, is coming through. There's an ISON club of astronomers that have all banded together to pool their information. There's some 20 satellites that are all fixed on it. And you know what?
Yeah.
There's no official photography of this item from August on.
Since August, you mean? Really?
Yep.
Oh.
There's nothing since then.
Interesting.
And even though it's just flown by Mars, and there's, Mars, the Curiosity is looking up at it, the Orbiter is looking at it, they've turned it around, and apparently, and this is the news report, all but a handful of NASA staff have been sent home.
Yeah, that'd be right. Oh, by the way, that's for you, great unwashed. You don't need to see it. It's only for the elite that needs to make their preparations in the bunker. And breaking news: Firefox can't establish a connection to the server at www.nasa.gov. So they may have taken it down altogether potentially. Hoorah! That's what we need.
So that's basically outside of that and breaking a bone in my foot this week.
Right.
Outside of that.
So not much happened then, is what you're saying, right?
Well, yeah, but see, look, I've been running on this dirty space thing, Mecky. You keep hearing me say this every once in a while. Maybe it's just because we're going through, this is my quote, through a region of dirty space.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. There was actually a science fiction story with that theme, where every 20, 40, or whatever 1,000 years, we would go through a section of the galaxy, like obviously, everything's in motion, and many changes would happen on the Earth at that particular point. Very interesting story. And potentially not too far from the future. Or, sorry, from the truth in the future, I should say. So I actually agree with your theory on dirty space. Because space, we already know, is not empty, right? Space is extremely full of stuff. There is no such thing as a true vacuum, guys. But, yeah, do you want to... So we're going to have a whole show on the dirty space, or...
Well, I'd like to, because
Let's do that. Let's do it.
I really think we should.
And I think we can bring panspermia in as well. The idea that we were seeded from outside.
Yeah, completely.
Because that sort of, falls in line with that kind of thing.
It does. But the only thing I'll state is, and I'm going to paste this, and everyone can look into this website, which is the amsmeteors.org website, and have a look for yourself at the amount of objects that are falling into our atmosphere. And that's the hint. That was what got me there. Oh, right. And by the way, Vaubear has graciously found the real Senator Sheldon Songstad about FEMA Region 3 interview. So the one that I heard was clearly faked and was Arizona. And hopefully, when at the end of the show or during the break, I might have a listen to this. And good on you, Vo. That sounds awesome, man. It's great to see you assisting us in the background.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, look, and again, I mean, it seems odd that, actually it doesn't seem odd. People try to misinform us all the time, right?
Yeah.
In all kinds of guises. In fact, guys, we say this all the time, and we say it again now. Don't believe what we say. Do your own research. If you find some points interesting and maybe even unbelievable, go out there. Don't just rely on Google either, right? Go to the library, look at the newspaper clippings, talk to first source witnesses, like people that actually were there, and do your own research. Just don't take our word for it, even though we're seldom wrong.
Damn straight. So look, the dirty space theory. If the link's pasted there for you, but if you do a search on fireballs with sound, and that's what I've got the link there for you. If you click it, you can choose what year you want to have a look at, and in 2004 there were 0 fireballs reported. In 2005, I'm not going to mention the year now, I'm just going to say the quantity per year. So from 2004 all the way to now, it's 0 reported in the first year, 49 the second, 41, 50, then in 2008, an increase, 69, 2009, 71, 2010, 104, 2011, 183, 2012, 246, and to date, today, is 227, but extrapolated would be 302 for the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
Oh, it's a massive increase. Now, the question is, obviously, now, if you just look at the numbers and you just apply some very rudimentary conjecture, if you will.
And that's only in the US,
yep,
in continental US.
You would think, oh, really? Okay, well, you would think, initially it was nothing, and then you come into a field of something.
Yep.
It's still fairly sparsely populated. No, it's a thin field, but it's still it interacts. And then as you move along, you come into a thicker field, and it's the same field, just getting thicker and thicker until now. The increase is 5-fold in 8 years. So 5-fold in 8 years is a lot, guys.
It's almost exponential when you look at the graph. I made a graph for it in Meki. Meki can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's so, and we obviously may not have reached the end density, as it were. So it might get denser yet, and there might be more phenomena reported related to this. So if you actually see one,
I'm going to say, report it. Please go to amsmedias.org and report it. The importance about the sound. Now, this may seem irrelevant. Wouldn't you just report every streak through the sky? Well, they don't all turn out to be ground impacting.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was looking for were impacts and items that got so hot that they popped. So by including items with sound, you know that you're going to hear them decelerate through the sound barrier. Mm-hmm. 30 kilometers per second down to 0 deceleration sickness, when they hit the ground. Mm-hmm. Also, they become so hot that they explode or they break up. There's also a column for whether they break up or not, where they're visible. But, some of these have 1,200 witnesses and things like that, so it's pretty credible. So that's what I've chosen. I've chosen that to be the witness. The witness is the data on this one. And as the Mayans had suggested that we'd be crossing the ecliptic, the galactic plane, or the ecliptic for the galaxy. And if that's the case, yes, it's probably going to be littered with stuff. There's probably stuff on the galactic plane, like a record, coming out from the galactic center that we're all spinning around the center on.
That's it. Guys, just to make it simple for you to understand, think of centrifugal forces and how they push things to the outside, but in a three-dimensional object where everything is pushing toward a sort of a spin vector, if you will, it would congregate in the middle. That's why we see rings form around Saturn, for example. Right? So all the stuff that is free-floating, gravitational forces, centrifugal forces, will condense it around a ring, and because the galaxy does spin a certain direction, right, it would condense in the galactic plane, I would imagine.
Yeah, it has, to make it simple, a propensity to congregate around basically an LP.
Using them big words again.
A flat, you, them, their big words. So it's around the single flat plane of the spin direction Yeah, so I'm not going to go into talk or anything like that, but basically that's what it's going to be. And you're right, just like the rings of Saturn, we've known that if you blow something up in space, it doesn't go in 3 dimensions. Pretty much, it just goes out in a ring.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yep.
So that's where you find this junk, and I think that's what we've done. I'm not going to give too much away, but that's where my research is aimed at the data, and then I go into why things have happened and where it is, and I think we'll probably do this in a show or two when I get some more data. Yeah.
Cool, dude. Sounds great. Now, today is show number 84, and
what is the show topic?
Yeah, in honor of 80 and 4, we're going to talk about 1984.
Oh, classy.
All right. More specifically, the novel by George Orwell, 1984, and we're going to discuss totalitarianism, fascism, Nazism. We're going to discuss where we are today and what potentially will be lurking for us in the future. And when I look at some of the future stuff, I thought to myself, you know what? That's not that far away. And Dave looked at it and goes, some of it is here. So, I hope you guys can enjoy this because it is topical. It ties in with what we're seeing to some extent today. And it's not that far off from where George Orwell thought where we would be. A lot of the English, I guess, terms that he coined in that particular novel are being used quite freely in our language today. They've infiltrated our thoughts, and they've infiltrated our culture. But we'll talk to you guys about that in a little while. Have you read 1984, Dave? Of course you have.
Yes, sir.
SFI, similar with Brave New World, is in a similar vein.
Brave New World.
Right, pretty good. Aldous Huxley. Yeah, that was, in fact, Brave New World is a little scarier even, right? Because it's more extreme and there's more, I guess...
it takes it to, I think, more a personal level.
Yes.
And you slot yourself in as a reader into one of those groups.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And the use of pharmaceutica is really quite, I would say, scary. In a Brave New World, and how these pharmaceutica are used to, I guess, not just separate the classes, but create them and then give them what they need and control people on a very basic level. And that's something we're seeing now. Make sure you take your Ritalin and your Prozac and your upper and your downer and your downer and your upper, just in case you need them. And before I go on, I think I've said this before. They're now trying to make grief, if a loved one passes away or whatever, a mental disease. Grief is now a mental disease. Just to let you know. So there's soon going to be medication in case you're grieving. That's something to look forward to.
Oh, really? Does it assist the grieving process, or just turn you into a mindless zombie so you forget?
It turns your grieving off. It's an upper, right? So grieving obviously is a disorder, so we need to do away with it. Goodbye, grieving.
You're not allowed to do that. Yeah.
That's insane.
See, I prefer Homer's wise words. Whatever you're feeling right now, step on it and stomp on it. And push it out of the way because it's not important.
Hang on. There's something else he said. Everything looks bad if you remember it.
That's right. Oh, Homer.
So much wisdom. Okay, so what is 1984? It's a dystopian novel by George Orwell, which was published in 1949. Dystopian means the opposite of utopian. So utopia is a place which is awesome and wonderful, and you get ice cream all day long. Dystopia is the exact opposite. No ice cream ever.
Oh.
So it's not a good place. Now, there's a basic plot to it. I'm just going to outline for you. So the Oceanian province of Airstrip 1, which was formerly known as Great Britain, is a world of perpetual war. Omnipresent government surveillance, where we don't know about that, and public mind control, dictated by a political system euphemistically called English socialism, under the control of a privileged inner party elite that persecutes all individualism and independent thinking as thought crimes. You might have heard this.
Thought police.
Correct, sir. Now, that tyranny is headed by Big Brother. That's actually where the
term came from.
Correct, which is a quasi-divine party leader, the Big Brother, who enjoys an intense cult of personality, but who may not even exist. So throughout the book, you don't know if Big Brother actually exists. This is really the penultimate panopticon, which we will talk about later as well.
That same concept. That same concept has been handled in two different things. One was an episode of Red Dwarf where they went into the future
Yep.
And there was a leader who wasn't even there.
Yeah.
And I'll get back to the other one, but keep
Sure.
going.
No worries, mate. Now, the Big Brother, the party leader, and you can substitute leader or exalted, Führer, whatever you want. And the party, they justify their rule in the name of a supposed greater good. Now, we haven't heard that before, I'm sure.
Now, pause. I remembered it. It was Sleeper. It's a comedy, Sleeper with Woody Allen.
Woody Allen, yes!
That's right, where the leader was a wheelchair-bound image, pretty much.
Yeah.
Which was in silhouette. But in reality, he'd passed away some 40 years earlier, and all that was left was his nose.
That's hilarious, yeah. I remember
and
that.
he had to bring him back to life. And that's that. So they were ruled by someone who didn't even exist.
Guys, if you haven't seen this Woody Allen classic, do yourself a favor and do.
Yeah. It has all of these same concepts in it.
Oh yeah. Now, Sleeper, the guy actually falls asleep and wakes up in the future. That's what happens, right? Yeah. So that's Woody Allen, the protagonist. Anyway.
But they talk about mind control and the whole thing too.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And in fact, the very first... I'll come back to this one.
Repatriated.
Yeah. Now, there's some amazing first efforts of really famous science fiction directors today, which you really should have a look at. I think THX 681 is one of them. But anyway, now the hero or protagonist of this particular novel is... Sorry, what was that, Dave?
THX 1138.
That's the one. Now, I urge you to watch it. The protagonist of this novel is Winston Smith. Mm-hmm. And he is a member of the Outer Party who works for the Ministry of Truth. Oh, that's wonderful. Now, that's responsible. This ministry is responsible for propaganda and historical revisionism. That's always good. Now, his job is to rewrite past newspaper articles so that the historical record always supports the current party line. And he's a very diligent and skillful worker, but he secretly hates the party and dreams of rebellion against Big Brother. As a literary, the classic novel is how can I put this best? It wasn't original, right? But it was certainly groundbreaking in my mind because of all the things it revealed. Okay, it revealed, I think, the subplot of our existence. And if you look at it today, and I want to give you a simple example of double think or Big Brotherism around Afghanistan. In the 1980s, the Americans supported the Afghanis, the Mujahideen at the time, against the Russians. Best friends, there was a Rambo movie about it, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward 15, 20 years, they are now our enemies, the worst people on the planet. They eat babies, okay? So let's kill them all. And I remember very distinctly when Afghanistan was first attacked or invaded or whatever.
Whichever way you'd like to think about it.
Whichever way you like to think about it, that's right.
See, we too were part of the programming.
Oh, yes, absolutely. There was an interview, I remember very clearly, and I believe it was CNN and may have been BBC, and they were talking to very senior American officials, and I can't remember who it was, but they asked this question. Well, it's quite obvious that, not too long ago you were allied with these Afghan soldiers, blah, 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 and one of the Americans said something very, very poignant. Something I haven't forgotten to this day. Well, that doesn't really matter anymore. Let's not remember the past. Let's not remember what happened. It's actually irrelevant in this context. And I thought, wow, that is doublethink. He's rewriting history. He's telling you, forget what happened. It is irrelevant. This is now, and let's treat it as though it never happened. And this is really what this novel deals with. It deals with the governments or the states need to redirect the thoughts of the people, and I think right now they're very successful in doing so.
We're in the thick of it.
Oh, in the middle. Now I want to give you a few terms which you might have come across in your everyday life, which actually go back to this novel. Now, one of them is Big Brother. We mentioned that. One is doublethink. All right. Another one is thought crime, you might have heard. Then another one is news speak, room 101, telescreen, 2 + 2 = 5.
I love 2 + 2 = 5.
Right, and memory hole. Okay, now these are all phrases that were coined in that particular novel. Now, what this novel shows us that Winston Smith, even though he tries his best to withstand, is eventually broken down and believes that 2 and 2 is in fact 5. He's tortured, various forms of manipulation are being used. In the end, though, it breaks down. And the person he deals with, who's very effectively portrayed in the movie, by the way, by Richard Burton, he says, I've seen the future of the human race. And it's a boot stepping on a human face forever. Mm-hmm. Now, as dark as this is, that's exactly where we are right now. Yep. If somebody was out in the street, stopped by the police, arrested by the police, even beaten up by the police, I guarantee you that a very small percentage only of us would actually go and try to interfere. Okay? I mean,
that's been proven.
Yeah. If you saw that, chances would be that you think, oh, well, he must have done something. Which is exactly what happened to Rodney King. He must have done something, right? He must have done a bad thing. He's a criminal. Otherwise, why would the police beat him? It's like recently in Sydney, a young Brazilian man was killed. He was on drugs. Okay, I'm not defending him. He was on drugs and he was running riot. He didn't actually attack anyone. He was just, crazy. And the police stopped him. I think there were 5, 6, maybe more policemen. And they tasered him. I don't know how many times, 10, 15, 20 times.
To death.
To death. He was tasered to death. And again, if you walk past it and you see a man only dressed in shorts, he might have been foaming at the mouth. I don't know, but you see people.
He would be after that.
Yeah, that's right. So, but you see the police tasering him. Would you interfere? Ask yourself that. Would you cross the street to help this man?
I'd say no.
I'm with you, Dave, and I like to think of myself as a guy that does cross the road and help people. But if it was the police, because the thing is this, they have guns. I don't.
If they're doing that to them, imagine what they do to you if you tried to stop them.
That's right.
That's what goes through your head. This is that. Right. Remember that the prison with no walls, Meki?
Yes, absolutely. There's actually this really cool analogy. That's the Panopticon, which we're going to talk about later. But there's this really cool. It's a western, and I think Dean Martin is in it, and maybe even John Wayne.
Cool.
And this is the western. Like it's a new prison in some town in the Midwest, whatever. And it's but they haven't delivered the bars yet.
Oh, I remember that.
Right. So okay, well, so they what
was that Mind Your Local Sheriff?
It may have been, but what John Wayne does, he paints a line on the floor where the bars should be, just a line, right?
Yeah.
And then he drips some red paint around it. Okay, and then he then lets it all dry, and then he actually gets the bad guys and puts them in the cell. And they go, "What? You think we're going to stay here? You get crazy." Yeah. And he goes, "Look at the floor." And they go, "Yeah, what? There's a line. Yeah, you cross that line, I'll shoot you." And there's a bit of red blood spatter. And throughout the entire movie, the guy who was in prison, who wasn't the brightest, light in the shop, stayed in his cell. Now, this is exactly where we are. Once again, guys, sorry, we have been put in a box. Our mind is inside a box. Mm-hmm. And Chomsky said, Noam Chomsky, he said, it's okay. You can discuss anything you want. You can talk about this, that, and the other. You can be as controversial as you like, as long as you stay within the predefined box that society has given you. You get out of that box, chances are you will have lots of trouble. And I mean serious trouble. But in that box, because it is predefined and controlled, you can say whatever you like. It is irrelevant. In fact,
all good.
Yeah, knock yourself out. Be controversial. Be a soapbox guy.
Yeah.
And even Dave and I, and even freedomslips.com, right? As much controversy as goes on, and as many things as we're saying, I think, for the most part, we stay inside the box. Simply because we've lived our lives inside the box. So I'm really trying very, very hard to find things that are outside the box which would really rattle it, which might even break its walls. But it's so hard. There's some things, and I could tell you a few things here, but they make me uncomfortable. And if they make me uncomfortable, they will make you very uncomfortable, okay? And I will discuss them with you in the future, but suffice it to say that I think that everything that is good and right, or that has been told us as good and right in this life, is actually the exact opposite. Everything that you think is the correct way is the wrong way. All right? Be fruitful and multiply. Wrong. All right? There's no God but me. Wrong. Okay? So in all those things that you take as absolute truths. I know, you're getting uncomfortable, I get it. We're probably losing listeners as we're speaking. They're all wrong. They're all wrong. All of them. Mm-hmm. And now, if you can integrate that into your thinking, you're actually getting further ahead than I am. But I'm just want to let you know that most of the things that you come across in your life are part of the box. What do you think, Dave?
No, I'm with you. Remember, I think your best example, mine, I was going to bring up Iraq.
Yep.
Yeah, you bring up Afghanistan, I bring up Iraq. We went there for one premise, there was no premise. We were lied to by the government, yeah?
Yes, sir.
We were lied to. We know we were lied. But when you say to someone, anyone, choose them at random, and ask them, why did we go into Iraq? And they'll go, for the weapons of mass destruction.
That's the one.
Or they'll say oil.
That's the one.
But are they correct?
No.
Because, answer A seems right. Answer B, you feel as though that one's the best one, but it's probably C or D. Because we're not told the actual reason for it.
Because we have never been told any truth in our lives.
That's right. We're living in a box made of lies, yeah?
Yeah. Now, people always say, if you do not learn your history, or if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. That's not true. If you don't understand your history, you're doomed to repeat it. Okay, knowing some dates and some rudimentary concepts, and at 1776 this happened, and in 1812 something else, 1914 to 1918 there was a big event. That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant unless you understand how it all hangs together. Unless you understand the historical context. In fact, unless you understand where you are today, in all its entirety, you have no hope of ever understanding anything truly, and you're disenfranchised. The people in power, the elite, they understand it. It's their freaking system. They've set it up. We're living inside their boxes, right?
They actually know. They know what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Do you know what, Mekki? This is the first show where I felt like Neo, and I feel that you're Morpheus.
Do you feel the splinter in your mind?
No, I'm serious.
I am serious.
This is the episode of our show where this makes more sense than anything else.
Yeah. Look, again, it's scary, guys. It is really scary. And
now, I've taken whichever pill you're meant to take to go into the to find out, right?
The blue one.
Yeah, whichever one. I don't even remember now. But I've taken that one, and I'm good with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And guys out there, again, don't listen to what we're saying here. Make up your own mind. Google it, but also do other research if you can, because there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation out on the interweb, deliberately put there, of course. And I'm not saying that every book is true, but certainly try to go to primary sources for all your research if you can. All right, always primary sources. That's what you want. People that were there, first-hand accounts, blah blah blah, all that wonderful stuff. And don't believe anything you hear. So, unless it's on Freedom Slips, then you can. It's all good.
It's us.
Yeah, that's right.
So, no, we're not that hedonistic. It's all good. Like we're still learning. We're still looking at it all
every day.
So Mekki, where are we at?
Okay, so we want to talk to you about. So 1984 obviously is a novel about a totalitarian state. Okay, now what does that mean? Well, it's a term that is used by political scientists to describe a political system in which the state holds total authority over the society and seeks to control all aspects of private and public life, all of it. And you could argue that a lot of the states that we experience today and have for the last maybe 100 years were in fact totalitarian systems. And if you look at the Chinese, for example, they control birth. You're allowed one child. In America, they're controlling pretty much everything else. And there's some there were forced abortions as well. There was some experiments on people, medical and otherwise. I just get you to look at the Tuskegee experiments, which was horrendous. And they control you otherwise as well with simple things like watching TV, mind control, subliminal messages, targeted marketing. All those wonderful things are designed to control you. Now, the concept of totalitarianism was first developed in the 1920s by the Italian fascists. Talk about fascism in a second. And the concept itself became prominent in Western anti-communist political discourse during the Cold War era in order to highlight perceived similarities between Nazi Germany and other fascist states on the one hand, and the Soviet Communist Party states on the other. So there was the Soviet Union and a whole bunch of other Eastern Bloc countries behind the Iron Curtain, which were pitched against the ideologies of Nazi Germany and fascism. Now, aside from fascism and communist movements, there have been other movements that are totalitarian. For example, in Spain, which was reactionary conservative. That was actually quite interesting because it didn't really fall into either Nazism or fascism in a way. Spain was slightly different, but it was not a good time either. And if you have got time, you can read the book that Hemingway wrote on the subject. And the title escapes me at the moment, but do yourself a favor and have a look at that. He actually went to fight in Spain. He fought the fascists, that is. Now, what's the etymology of the word? The notion of totalitarianism was formulated in 1923 by Giovanni Amendola, who described Italian fascism as a system fundamentally different from conventional dictatorships. The term was later assigned a positive meaning in the writings of Giovanni Gentile, Italy's most prominent philosopher and leading theorist of fascism. He used the term totalitario, you like that, to refer to the structure and goals of the new state. The new state was to provide the total representation of the nation and total guidance of national goals. He described totalitarianism as a society in which the ideology of the state had influence, if not power, over most of its citizens. And according to Benito Mussolini, this is what he said: everything within the state, nothing outside the state, and nothing against the state. Mm-hmm. That is the credo that Mussolini lived by. Now, the interesting that the Japanese tried something very similar with their version of Buddhism, Shinto Buddhism, where the emperor became the center of, a fascist state, if you will, and it's usually a very strong personality cult that goes with it. So you've got Hitler, right? You've got Mussolini. You had the Japanese emperor. So whenever you see a very strong personality cult, you can usually say, yeah, that's some form of Nazism or fascism or some kind of totalitarianism, because you need strong leadership. And I'll talk about that after the break, because we're coming up to the hour. I think, Dave, is that correct?
Yeah, we've only got about 30 or 40 seconds left.
Okay, cool.
Look, just to remind everyone, this is Listener Funded Radio. During the break, please jump onto the donate button, push it, and donate some money to this. We don't make the money. The station does, just to roll, just to keep going. They've raised so far this month, in 6 days, it's $270. We're looking for $1,600 this month. Last month we hit it maybe 8 days short, which was great.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah. So there's the music, and we'll see you on the other side of the break, guys. You are back with David Mecky's Shiny Side Out on freedomslips.com. That's right, the number one listener-supported talk radio on the net. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to all the supporters, and thank you to the person who's took the opportunity during the break to donate some money. Thank you very much.
That's awesome.
We're now at $270. Awesome.
Nice.
This is Listener Funded Radio. As I said before, if you like what you hear, please go to freedomslips.com and push the donate button on the site support page. It's on the left in the chat. Your donation is greatly appreciated and helps run this station. We are halfway through show number 84, and we're talking about 1984, George Orwell book.
1984. Absolutely, 100%. And I'd just like to say that in the chat room, if you guys are listening to this on YouTube, do take the time and come listen live, and do join the chat room on Freedom Slips, please. Because
has it been going? It's awesome in there, yeah?
Yeah, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, look, all the guys in there are very well informed. They know what they're talking about. It's actually really fun to read. It's great. So, you can participate in the discussion. If there's a really outstanding comment, or you want something brought up in the show, we will do that, because we keep one eye on the chat, the other eye on Skype, and the middle eye on the show notes. So we are multitasking here.
And the other one on our programming.
There you go. That's the one. So,
leader.
Right, now we're talking about fascism now, because the thing is people throw these terms about, Nazism, fascism. What does it really mean? And we just want to give you a quick definition, because it's always good to know what we're talking about. Now, Fascism is a form of radical authoritarian nationalism. Okay, that of course came to prominence in early 20th century Europe, as you might know, in Italy specifically, and Spain. And you can argue that Germany was also under some kind of fascist rule. Slightly different though. Now, initially it was influenced by national syndicalism. The first fascist movements emerged in Italy around World War I. Okay, combining elements of left-wing politics with more typically right-wing positions, in opposition to communism, socialism, liberal democracy, and in some cases traditional right-wing conservatism. So all of these more common political streams were different to what we call fascism. Okay, fascists usually tried to unify the nation through a totalitarian state that promoted the mass mobilization of the national community. Okay, and they were characterized by having a vanguard party that initiated a revolutionary political movement aiming to reorganize the nation along principles according to fascist ideology. So there was always a strong party, and it was always a ground roots movement that these people sought. It was, in fact, in Germany specifically, and I wrote a paper on this at uni, both Germany and Japan had to invent their nationalism. What do I mean by that? They had to come up with a mythology, if you will, that tied the German or Japanese people to their country, to the actual soil. Mm-hmm. And there was a connection between the blood and the soil. It was very mystical. It was very almost primal in its undertaking, because once you've got a strong mythology, right, you can then build anything you want. You can grow on that. It's a base. It's a base for annexation, for example. The Germans said, we want land in the east. Why? Because we don't have enough. Right. Okay, let's get some land in the east then. Let's invade Poland and Russia. And they could do that because they justified it along a number of lines. Number one was that they were the superior, the Aryan race. So you've got some racism playing into there as well, yeah? Eugenics and so forth.
They made themselves, they dominated by making themselves a higher position than anybody else, just by race.
Yeah. The so-called master race. Yeah. and you're correct. And then secondly, they had a very strong connection to the ground, the soil. Their blood was intermingled with it, right? And that mythology then they sought to propagate elsewhere and bring forth a change to a more mythological time. In fact, the Nazis very actively tried to bring back the old religion, okay, under Thor and Wotan, or you might know him as Odin, yeah, the All God, the All Father. So as they spread out, it became more and more mystical. And we spoke about this before. The Nazis were very much interested, similar to the Italian fascists, in fact, in the past. Now, the Italian fascists wanted to bring back the Roman Empire. That's what they were interested in, the past on that level. The Germans took it further. They went far afield to search for occult and mystical and mysterious objects and artifacts. And if you watch the Indiana Jones movies, you will actually be surprised to know that a lot of that actually happened. I'm not saying that spirits flew out of the Ark of the Covenant. What I'm saying to you, though, is that the Nazis actively went looking for it. And they had the Spear of Longinus, allegedly. Now, what's the Spear of Longinus? The Spear of Longinus was the spear that was meant to have pierced Jesus' side on Golgotha. And it was, apparently, as long as you have that, your armies will be victorious until it falls off the wall, which it did, and then Hitler lost. So that's the mythology. Now, going forward, though, the fascists are hostile to liberal democracy, to socialism, communism, and other political systems, including conservatism. Even though fascist movements shared certain common features, including the veneration of the state, a devotion to a strong leader, and an emphasis on ultra-nationalism and militarism with some of these political ideologies. Okay? Now, fascists view political violence, war, and imperialism as a means to achieve national rejuvenation, and they also assert that stronger nations have the right to expand their territory by displacing weaker nations, right? It's this notion that you're somehow superior and therefore are in fact destined, predetermined to lead and potentially destroy other nations, which is what we saw in World War II. Now, what fascism also does, it advocates a mixed economy with the principal goal of achieving autarky, which is autonomy, to secure national self-sufficiency and independence through protectionist and interventionist economic policies. Fascism supports what is sometimes called a third position between capitalism and Marxist socialism. So Marxist socialism, everything is state-controlled. Okay, essentially everything is run by the state. That's it. In capitalism, everything is free. It's a free market. Everything happens, and it's luck or whatever. But fascism is very different. Fascism, and this is why people say it's actually the political ideology of the corporations. Fascism is tailor-made for corporations. It doesn't want to be controlled by the state, but it doesn't like the free market either. So the corporations want all the power for themselves. They want to determine political outcomes, and they also want to determine economic outcomes. And if you look at the world today, that's exactly where we are. Mm-hmm. It was the massive corporations and factory owners and so forth that brought Hitler into power in the first place, right? It was them that funded the Nazi Party. Okay, it was them that then moved their businesses into America and elsewhere in the world, and did exactly what they tried to do in Germany in the 1930s and 20s and so forth. They did exactly that in America. So you look at America today, and you look at the neocons. They're not neocons, okay, or post-fascists. They are neo-fascists.
Yeah.
In fact, they're not even neo-fascists. They're just fascists, okay? Because the intermingling of government and corporations or corporate business is so insidious. It is so unentangable. Like it can't be entangled, right, anymore. That there's no other term for the political system in play right now. And this is actually almost
a new one for itself.
Yeah, and it's virtually, not quite yet, a global problem. So you've got people that are moving from CEO positions in massive corporations into positions of vice president or secretary of state or prime minister or whatever it might be, whatever the political party or whatever the structure is in your particular country. And truly, the corporations have achieved what they couldn't under Hitler. They have achieved control over political outcomes and control over economic outcomes. At what time in history, and I want you to be really critical here, think about what's happened. At what time in history would it have been acceptable to take money from Joe Q average, you and me, Main Street if you want to call it, billions, and give it to Mr. Banker, Mr. Wall Street? As a bonus.
Cyprus. I'm quoting Cyprus.
Yeah. There's no other time in history that I can think of, and we've been through some horrendous times where this would have been acceptable, right? I mean, the thing is, oh no, we can't let the banks fail. Okay, I can buy that argument to a point, but then that money that was meant to bail out the banks and improve their position in the market and whatnot was used to pay out bonuses to the very bankers that got us in this mess in the first place. What? Yep. Mm-hmm. So while you can't make your mortgage payments, they're buying a boat or Humvee with golden hubcaps. I don't know, whatever it is they buy.
It also widens the gap between rich and poor.
Yeah, this is not capitalism. In capitalism, the banks would have failed because it's a free market economy. If you can't survive, you will die.
Yep.
Right? Am I right? Yes.
Survival of the fittest in a capital market. That's capitalism. But we didn't see that happening. On the other hand, it's not state control either. So Obama didn't control everything. He didn't say, let's nationalize all the banks. He didn't say that. So it's not communism. Mm-hmm. So what is it? It's fascism. That's what it is, guys. Mm-hmm. We've left the free market behind, and we haven't quite gotten to Marxism yet. So that's the world. You can argue with me any as much as you like, but at this point, I'm very firm. I'm right. Okay, I'm very right with this. So we've actually now come to live through what Eisenhower has warned us about. Well, he warned us, didn't he?
Yeah. Be wary of the influence of the military-industrial complex. Do not let those guys take over. I'm paraphrasing here, right? That's what he said in his farewell speech to the American people. Did we listen? Did you listen? No, of course not. Because we like shiny new things, right? That's why. And we like to watch TV. Lots of TV, yeah.
Flat screens.
Yeah, give me $2,000 so I can buy another flat screen for my toilet. Yes, that's a good idea. How many TVs in your house? Seriously. I'm asking you a question. How many TVs in your house? If you say more than one, that's in fact one is too much. But more than one is too many. Too many. Guys,
can I count watching TV on my PC, because now I've got Foxtel, I can watch it on my PC while I'm working.
You can count it, but
All right.
see, that, again, go on, yeah, please.
Then 4.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because everyone's got to have your own one.
You see, it used to be, this is the evolution of media. It used to be that the father or the mother would read the newspaper on a Sunday or whenever, or the letters that came to the family around the fire, all right? Or they share stories, talk about the day, whatever. Then a radio came along, okay? And they would listen together as a family. They would listen to the radio, and it would text your imagination. You know, you would have to imagine these worlds that were brought to life by the actors on the radio. Might even listen to news broadcasts, whatever. But the family would congregate around the radio.
As a family unit.
Yes, but not all day long. Certain hours on the weekend, in the evening, whatever. Along came the TV. Similar situation. Very limited programming, black and white. You had to actually get up to change channels, right? If you remember that, you're really old. And again, it would bring the family together. Less imagination, more, I guess, infiltration into your mind. Now, every member of the family has their own TV. Not only that, they've got their own little device that they might play with while they're watching their own TV. Okay?
And they're watching something while we've turned into Elvis.
Yeah. Yes.
If you remember, he got so fascinated with everything he had to know that he had more than one television on at the same time. Of course, then he was known for shooting his own TV because he didn't like what was on.
That's right.
Where does this take us to? Is this Panopticon now?
We're getting there. Bear with
okay.
me. Bear with me.
Yep.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm so keen. I'm champing at the bit, Mackie.
I know. So we're actually getting to a point here. So we've now, you understand now how controlled you are. Okay, you're controlled within that system of things. Okay, and let's you know what? I'll come back to Nazism, and I'll come back to the etymology as well. Let's talk about the Panopticon, because the Panopticon is a very, very important concept for Nazism and fascists. And let's take it as read here that Nazis are just another incarnation of fascism, which they in fact are. And the actual name of the party I'll share with you because it's fun. Was the Nationalsozialistische Deutsche Arbeiterpartei. Okay, that was the National Socialist German Workers' Party. That's
what he said.
What I said. That's right. So that's actually where that comes from. The word Nazi, National Socialism, and which took a strong bend toward the eugenic. Now, Panopticon. What is the Panopticon? The Panopticon is a prison that you don't know you're in. Not only that, it's a prison where you never see your guard, and where you think that you're always being watched. Okay, so this is a very, very, very complex kind of prison, if you will, and very simple. It was designed by English philosopher and social theorist Jeremy Bentham in the late 18th century. Okay, and the concept of the design is to allow watchmen to observe, which is opticon, all, which is pan, so panopticon, inmates of an institution without their being able to tell whether they're being watched or not, like I said. The name is also a reference to Panoptes from Greek mythology, and he was a giant with 100 eyes and therefore a very effective watchman. Okay, so you can see there's a and again, with most of the things that we see from the elite, they all have a mythological bent. There's always a classical element to it, guys.
Yeah.
In architecture, in references, in statues, in laws, there's always, whenever you're not sure about something, see if there's a classical bend, if there's some link to the ancient Greek, Babylonian, or Roman mythology. If there is, chances are the elite is involved in some way. Now, the design consists of a circular structure, and this is actually a place he built, okay? A circular structure with an inspection house at its center, from which the manager or the staff of the institution are able to watch all the inmates all of the time, and they're sort of stationed around them, like Shakespeare's theater, if you're familiar with that. Now, Bentham conceived the basic plan as being equally applicable to hospitals, schools, sanatoriums, daycares, and asylums, but he devoted most of his efforts to developing a design for a panopticon prison. And it is his prison which
is the key here, people.
Correct, yeah, which is most widely understood by the term the panopticon. Okay? Now, Bentham himself described the panopticon as a new mode of obtaining power of mind over mind in a quantity hitherto without example. Elsewhere, he described the panopticon prison as a mill for grinding rogues honest. Okay?
the concept around that, right? You're gonna mention it in a second, aren't you?
No, go ahead, please.
Okay, is that if you feel that you're being watched at all times, your likelihood to do something wrong is extremely reduced to eventually draining that away from you. So your behavior, it can change your behavior if you feel as though someone's watching you. If you've got children and you leave the room, they'll get up to mischief. If you're there, they won't.
Yes.
Because they know you're there, you know you're watching.
Yes.
However, for inmates of a prison designed in which they can't see, they know there's someone that can watch them. They don't know whether they're actually being watched right now, but they behave as though they are. And that's the whole concept around it. And it's actually, it's true. Socially, we behave in that way, and it makes perfect sense. However, we don't make prisons in that way. Prison yards, possibly, but do we do anything? Not really. We'll let them work it out for themselves.
That's right.
If you've seen any prison. So, terribly effective, and it's the same thing because you're changing your behavior.
Yeah. You're changing your behavior, and this is even though there's no overt reason for it. That's the key thing here. And just on the subject, SJ from the chat room, and this is why it's interactive, guys, just posted a really great quote from 1984, which fits like a glove here.
Yeah.
I would like to read it out. So thank you, SJ. Winston's apartment, remember Winston was the hero of 1984, Winston's apartment contains a telescreen, an oblong metal plaque like a dulled mirror that simultaneously receives and transmits information. The machine constantly spews party propaganda, but also monitors each party member, listening to his or her words and observing his or her actions in search of evidence of disloyalty. The telescreens are an important tool of the thought police. Now, the truth is that your TVs at home, the smart TVs connected to Xboxes and Xbox Kinetic and all those wonderful things, together with cable TV, can do exactly that. They can monitor you. They can look into your room. They can listen to you even when it's switched off. Oh, no. Yes. And what you don't know either is that there's a lot of subliminal messaging going on, right? I don't care what show you watch. If you watch more than 2 or 3 hours a day, you're affected. Your mind... Hello. Your mind is, in fact, at risk. Because commercials, yes. There's also subliminal messages in TV shows. In fact, the TV shows that you're watching are a lot dumber now than they used to be. No offense to anyone, but have you actually looked at the content that you're watching? There's this, the smarts have almost gone
but gone.
Yeah. I mean, the storyline was interesting, or maybe there was some kind of great documentary, whatever. It's reality TV shows that draw the crowds now. Because all of us are essentially voyeurs. We want to watch other people fail miserably, or be in pain, or maybe we can root for them and make us feel better about ourselves. Whatever
Does
the case.
That not sound like Rome in its glory day, right before the end?
Exactly, bread and games, my friend. Bread and games.
Yeah.
People will not do anything as long as they've got something to eat and something that takes away the boredom.
Oh, and by the way, in this country, it's grand final day. So.
That's right.
Hello.
That's right.
Stop saying hello.
Hello. Maybe you should say hello in this voice. Hello. So the essence here is that we are living in the Panopticon. Now, the Panopticon, as dreamt up by Bentham, was actually a physical place, right? And he wanted to make a better prison, which was more effective, cost-effective as well. And the jailer or the manager of the jail would be there would be a monetary incentive, if you could bring down the number of casualties in the prison, mortality rate or misbehavior and so forth. So he tried to actually build that place. The concept, though, forget the building, the concept has now been applied to society at large. We are being watched all the time. Tell me, and this is a serious question, why do you stop at the red light? Think about that for a second, okay? I don't want dead air, but think about that.
I'm thinking, because just to reduce dead air.
Yeah. So is there a good reason for you to stop at a red light? I mean, you're driving along the road, and let's say you've never heard of traffic lights in your life. Would you stop at the red light? No, you wouldn't. We've been taught to stop at a red light. And
even if there's no one else there, we still stop.
Yes, sir. That is exactly right. a green light means go and a red light means stop, irrespective of where you are, irrespective of the time of day, irrespective of other traffic. You could be in the middle of nowhere, and you can see probably, I don't know, 10 kilometers that way and 10 kilometers the other way, and you would still stop at a red light. You would probably stop at a stop sign too. My point here is this, though. The power of subliminal messaging, of training from when you're young is so great that you feel uncomfortable if you go through a red light, irrespective of the circumstances. You will feel uncomfortable.
You are absolutely true.
Right?
Absolutely. This man is awesome.
So the thing is, this is mind programming at its best. Now think of all the other things you do automatically. Think of all the other things that you think, oh yeah, that's what I should do. All of those have been programmed into you on an instinctual level. That's what good martial arts does for you, right? When you're a martial artist and you train from when you're young, you don't have to think about fighting. Your body does it for you, all right? If you're a martial artist, you know exactly what I mean. And it goes, go on.
Have you encountered people from a different country who had never been raised with television?
Yes.
And how different do they behave socially?
Very different. Very different. They're more gregarious. There's actually more conversation. And the topic of conversation is usually not limited to whatever the latest TV show was we just enjoyed. Now, I've got a better example even.
Go ahead.
I recently went to China and obviously to India, right? Now, traffic there is chaotic. Okay? Lines on the road are arbitrary. They're suggestions, okay? Traffic lights, it's a suggestion, okay?
Yeah.
Stop signs, there aren't any. I haven't seen any, right? So, and when you've got 4 lines or 4 lanes, they're usually 8 cars and tuk-tuks and bicycles and pedestrians. They're usually walking and crisscrossing and whatever, right? But it works. Now, those people, due to the lack of an institutional program, because there's so many of them, because poverty is so great, and I guess the institutionalized
attendance is so low.
Yeah, and not everybody has TV either, right? Now, these people have just been lifted out of really poor conditions. They lived in the Middle Ages, or the Dark Ages, if you will, in the country where there was not much of a concerted effort to make them into consumers, the way we've been treated for the last 60, 70 years. So those guys are just coming up to that now. But even though nobody really obeys any of the road rules, nobody really obeys any of the street signs, nobody really gets hurt because everybody still works it out. Okay, it's organic. If you come from the West,
they work like blood cells flowing through the body. It is incredible if you haven't seen it.
It is. You're right there. That's actually a really great example. Things just flow around each other. I mean, there's a lot of beeping, but the beeping is not get out of my way. The beeping is, hey, I'm here, watch out. That's what the beeping is.
I know you somehow.
Yeah.
It seems conversational, doesn't it? The beeping.
Absolutely. In fact, cars, big trucks on the back have please horn or please honk or please beep. It's actually
so I know you're there.
Correct. Now, that's very different to what you and I used to, right? Remember the question I asked before? There's no good reason to do it.
Did you know that it's actually illegal in this country to use your horn for no reason?
Yes. They can pull you over, guys. Not only that, you're being watched all the time. Okay, so forget about the stuff that you've been trained to do from childbirth, in fact. You're being watched at all times. And probably Great Britain is the worst country at this point. More cameras per capita than anywhere else in the world. But we're all getting there. You will see cameras. In fact, you don't even see the cameras anymore. You don't see them anymore.
And can I take it one further step?
Please.
When you go to an airport now, did you know there's lasers that monitor you within a split second to determine, well, you don't know this, but this is what happens, that determine maybe you've had too much coffee. They can tell how much coffee you have from your exhale. They can see whether, this is true, they can see whether you've got, residue in your hair from explosives. They can tell if you're exuding from your skin any drug as well. This is all with lasers. And they can not just do it with one person, but they can do a room at the same time.
That's scary.
And this is I think I'll get to my points at the end, Mickey, because I don't want to interrupt the flow.
No. Look, this is what it's all about. Because, see, the thing is this. Dave and I are fairly independent thinkers, right? But even we are not fully free from the system. Of course we're not. I mean, we got jobs, right? We got jobs, and we exchange little funny slips of colorful plastic for other things that we don't need. So we're very much part of the system. It is important, though, to realize where we are. It's also important to realize what is being done to make you more imprisoned. And we spoke about Germany and Italy and Japan and Spain as being fascist states. So let's look at what happened there just for a couple of minutes in order to bring about greater control. Well, what Hitler did, he gave everybody a radio, so they could all listen to his speeches. Okay, so everybody was on the same page. He also nationalized all schoolings. So all school systems, they were teaching one syllabus, okay? Similarly in Italy. And they also made everything very efficient. So trains ran on time. That's what the fascists did in Italy as well. It was very important for Hitler to have gun control. So when the Nazis came into power, they made everybody register a gun so they would know who has them. They also started lists with people's names, religion, sex, whatever information they could get. And there was IBM, precursors of computers, that helped them compile the lists, if you didn't know that. So there you go, a little tidbit. So they did all that. And now look at what's happening today. We've got lists. And the only country, this is really funny because I recently had that. I actually have got a few people on my team. And in Germany, if a list is that it could be published to a greater audience than just your immediate manager, you cannot reveal the person's name. That's a salary list, whatever list it might be. The name will be secret. You cannot know it. You cannot know who it is. Okay? So it's actually like a code, like encoded first name and last name, like number, like almost like a
credit card.
Yeah, like a hexadecimal code. That's exactly right. Yeah. And Germany is the only country, I think, or maybe France as well, that does that because of the lists that were compiled prior to World War II. Now, but we are all parts of lists now. All of us, we have to register for this, we have to register for that, we have to register our guns, we have to register, if you want a dog, you have to do, everything is being captured, guys. Everything is being captured.
Did you know that it's not only is it being captured, but data is being stored and shared and sold on you without you knowing about it.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, this is one of the scariest facts that I don't think anyone knows. Besides, using your say ATM card going shopping, they know everything about you. Mm-hmm. There's a profile of you at that shop.
Yep.
Because of the data mining they can do, and they share that. They share it.
Yep. And well, they sell it.
Yeah, they do sell it. Google only needs 22 points of info to identify you on any computer that you use.
Okay.
You go to your friend's house and start surfing the net the way you do, and they know it's you.
Wow.
Only 22 points of info. And that is extremely dangerous, I suppose, in the wrong hands. But
totally.
We all know that Google equals government.
Yeah, look.
Didn't they bend for China?
They did. And Google, no, freedom of this and freedom of that. No, they blocked. They blocked. Freedom? And they made available information. Because doing business, and let's speak very clear here, doing business will supersede any other consideration. Mm-hmm. Guys?
Why is that, Mickey?
Well, I wonder.
Is that the dollar sign?
It could be. Ka-ching.
Yeah.
Ka-ching, ka-ching. We are living in a fascist world economy. Not a capitalist, not controlled by the state. No, it's fascist. Wake up, guys. It's true. With the corporations have the central power. Okay, and that by definition is fascism. And it's irrelevant who's in charge, otherwise. Irrelevant. You print the money, you control the flow of money, you control the flow of goods, you're in charge. It is that simple. And that's exactly where we are. And in fact, China is a great example with Google. 100%. Now, Facebook, how much information do you think Facebook has? A lot. That's
all of it.
And you know how much of that is yours? None. Zero.
You own none of it.
Anything you upload, freely, might I add. No one forced you to do it. Okay? All of that belongs to Facebook. They can do with as they please. And you know what?
Openly accessible by the government of the world, by the way.
So because the thing is this, it's very hard to introduce global databases. And people are against censuses. They give you the wrong information, right? They might mislead you on purpose, blah, blah, blah. On Facebook, no one does that. most of the information is actually factual. We are insane that way. Oh, yes,
I know.
Please, let us share everything. Yeah.
Have a look at Hated Patriots' comment.
Oh, hang on, where are we? Googlement.
It's the Googlement.
Thank you,
exactly.
Yeah.
I had a premonition that there was going to only be one computer company.
Yeah.
And one building where all the computers were.
Microapple.
Sorry?
Microapple.
Microapple. Yeah, no, it would have to start with a G.
Okay, Gapple.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Apple would be involved in it. But I'm sorry for all the Apple people out there. But no, certainly Google. Google will own the world, and it's only just a matter of time.
Yeah.
I was going to say, let's not forget. Now, you're talking a lot here about the internet, yeah?
Mm.
And I made a lot of notes today, and one of those was, let's not let us all forget that the internet was made by, oh, hang on, let me remember. Yeah, the military.
That's right.
It is a military-designed product that we use socially. And if you were to draw a circle about the size of the Earth and then put a quarter in that circle, that is how much bandwidth we use as the total social network internet, and the military is the rest of it.
Yeah. So, guys, that's massive, okay?
It is that they are the internet, yeah? And because it's militarily designed, don't you think that every single piece of data you put through it isn't being watched by somebody? And in fact, we talked about this before, but it's every single one of them. Not just America, not just Echelon, not just the NSA, but everyone's ducked their heads down hoping that they don't get named in it.
Yeah.
But we know they're all internationally doing it. And we talked about the undersea cables and, satellites. And don't tell me that there isn't a satellite up there that hasn't got a little, receiver unit from another satellite poking in front of it to pick up some of the signal, let me tell you. So the idea that it's free and open is completely mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
That's the internet. It's not free, it's not open, it's military. And like Hated Patriot said, and I love that phrase, I'm going to use it, Googlement. It really is. This has changed our world.
Yeah, I like Googlement. That's cool. Mm. And you know what? The apparent separateness or the apparent separation of states, governments, institutions, agencies, and I guess faculties is entirely illusory. It is.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a separation when it comes to information. Trust me, all the information as it exists out there is all feeding into, and I know this is going to sound really crazy.
The same place?
Tinfoil head. Yeah, it's all going to the elite, the same place, single point of surveillance. And it's not usually a person. We've got programs like Dave mentioned, Echelon, there's Carnivore, the other programs as well that have been running for a long time to look at keywords and so forth. I think we've actually moved beyond that.
Yeah.
I think I believe that AIs have been deployed on the interweb to seek out information actively and learn and even pose as personalities. My opinion only.
No. I've actually seen the software. I've seen a software demonstration of a chat room bot, but now it's a full identity in Facebook. You can't tell these are people. And no one talking to it could tell that it was a bot.
See? That's crazy, guys. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem here is that this information is going somewhere, and it's being used, trust me. And it's used to catalog. And I want to take a step here and make a statement, which may or may not be true. I believe that they're cataloging survivors. Now, we've all spoken about the great demise that is heading our way, and it has to happen pre-2020 before we hit 8 billion. We spoke about why. Mm-hmm. And they're cataloging your usefulness. That is my opinion, because companies do that. They have skill matrices,
Oh, yeah.
You're a technician this, and you can do that. You can work with Google, and you can work with Windows, Microsoft 8, whatever.
What's LinkedIn?
Exactly. Right? So now these are all things that are being cataloged, and the internet allows that cataloging to be a lot more efficient. So my prediction is a lot of the areas where you don't have that cataloging, okay, is in fact going to perish. right? So places in Africa and Asia and wherever where it's more poor than rich. Whereas people like us who have, and you're right, Dave, there's an online resume database for millions of people now, which spells out exactly what you can and can't do and how useful you are to any potential future societies. I think the survivors are being determined right now. I'm not saying that everybody that is being tagged as a survivor will survive. I mean, there's always accidents and mishaps and whatnot. But I do believe that the powers that be are very much right now engaged in a roster of potential survivors. And your bloodline would be taken into consideration, your DNA, blood types, your potential.
Because they want viable DNA.
Correct. Right. So anyone, if once they're probably very advanced with the DNA scanning right now, but anyone with hereditary diseases or whatever is probably going to be eliminated to some extent. But anyway, be that as it may, that is being that's happening right now. That information gathering and Facebook, these things don't happen by accident. There are no accidents. Facebook, Google, all that stuff. Right? You think that just happens? No. Yeah. That stuff doesn't just happen. Think about it. Come on, guys.
Well, it hit 1 billion people now on Facebook.
Yeah. There'd be more. And everybody will be consumed by it. It's all good, right? No, it's not. It's horrible. But...
I was going to say, don't mean but what, Mekki? But
no, but that's where we are.
That's right. So all of this data mining leads us to... pre-crime surveillance.
Yes, sir. Now,
doesn't it?
Yeah, look, Dave and I did some digging, and this is really interesting stuff. We found some items, and this is Michael Snyder's website, The American Dream, that surveillance techniques that are being used right now, right, and in the near future. But there's some more advanced ones which we have as well, again from Michael Snyder, which is a future technology you can look forward to. But right now, we have pre-crime surveillance cameras. Now, what is that? A company known as BRS Labs has developed pre-crime surveillance cameras that can supposedly determine if you're a terrorist or a criminal even before you commit a crime. Do you remember the movie and the book by Philip K. Dick with Tom Cruise in the lead role? Pre-crime. Well, authorities are taking this technology quite seriously. In fact, dozens of these cameras are being installed at major transportation hubs in San Francisco. In its latest project, BRS Labs is to install its devices on the transport system in San Francisco, which includes buses, trams, and subways. The company says it will put them in 12 stations with up to 22 cameras in each, bringing the total number to 288. The cameras will be able to track up to 150 people at a time in real time and will gradually build up a memory of suspicious behavior to work out what is suspicious. So I guess...
That's a learning system.
It is a learning system, sir, which means it has got artificial intelligence capabilities. Okay?
You can't do that, Dave.
Uh-oh. Right, guys? So that's pre-crime. So I guess, body temperature, perspiration, maybe release of pheromones. Who knows what it is? They can detect it. What's the next one, Dave?
Capturing fingerprints from 20 feet away. Now, that does, think about it. It sounds impossible. But can you imagine someone reading a fingerprint from 20 feet away without you even knowing it? This kind of technology is actually already, according to PopSci, gaining access to your gym or office building could soon be as simple as waving a hand at the front door. So they're talking about, instead of fingerprint readers, it just, has a camera that can do 10,000 frames a second and can, scan your fingerprint without touching it. I think that's awesome. Yeah? The only problem to all of this, whether you get chipped or they use your fingerprint, is that they know who you are. Remember, this anonymity has gone.
Yeah.
Kiss it goodbye, left a long time ago.
That's right, sir.
You probably have to do an obituary for the anonymity, I swear.
And it's not about, the privacy and the anonymity Dave is speaking about. It's not a bad thing. It's not like, only criminals will be worried. Not really. Not really. We all like our privacy once in a while. I don't want people coming to my house looking at what I'm doing, especially when I'm in the bathroom, right? That's
private time. So one of the important thing here is that the natural progression was visualized already in the movie called Rollerball.
Yep.
Yeah, Rollerball.
Yep.
Where the company was the state. The company bought him his bride. Yeah. Provided everything for him. Oh, this is your wife now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been really successful. Here's your reward. Also, in not True Lies, the other one, the remake, the new one.
Oh, okay. Okay, now I'm with you.
The one where your brain can be wiped.
Yeah, I'm with you. Total Recall.
Total Recall #2, the remake. His wife isn't really his wife. She's a plant. She's been put in there just to keep him under control. He doesn't know. That's where this kind of technology will lead us to, where you have no clue. You can be dumbed down, programmed, whatever, remotely, and you can be turned into whatever. And it says using fingerprints and irises as unique identifiers rather than credit card numbers and data embedded in magnetic strips or RFID chips.
Yep.
That's where they think that's going to go. But like the nuclear weapons, it's just a pretty explosion. Isn't it wonderful? Maybe we could use it as a power source. No, it's a weapon.
Yeah, let's kill more things.
So what's next?
The next one we have is the mobile backscatter vans. Now, what is that? Now, apparently, police all over the states will soon be driving around in unmarked vans, looking inside your cars and even under your clothes. Using the same porno scanner, apparently, technology currently being utilized by the TSA at U.S. airports. So we're talking about, penetrating radar, but only to certain depths. American cops are set to join the U.S. military in developing American science and engineering's Z backscatter vans, or mobile backscatter radiation X-rays.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, these are what TSA officials call the amazing radioactive genital viewer. That's awesome. Now seen
Put on your lead underwear.
Yes, you might have to. Now seen in airports around America, ionizing the private parts of children, the elderly, and even you. Yes, you're coming to an airport near you soon. Now, these wagons will look like regular vans and will cruise America's streets, indiscriminately peering through the cars and clothes of anyone in range of its mighty isotope cannon. But don't worry, it's not a violation of privacy, as American
Because you're out in public.
Yeah. Now, the vice president of this company says the following: "From a privacy standpoint, I am hard pressed to see what the concern or objection could be." You know what? Yeah, Joe Rice, that's who you are. I don't see the problem with someone scanning my underwear at all. No, that's okay. In fact, why wear underwear? Dave, that's just crazy.
It is. It really is. Number 4 is hijacking your mind. Now, we all talk about PSYOPs, right? So the US military literally wants to be able to hijack your mind. The theory is that the world would... that it would enable US forces to non-violently convince terrorists not to be terrorists anymore. No more waterboarding. Oh my goodness.
Stop being a bad person, please.
Yeah, could you mind, please? Yeah, they need to be convincers. But obviously, the potential for abuse with this kind of technology is extraordinary. The following is from a recent article by Dick Pelletier. So the Pentagon's Defense Advanced Research Projects, or DARPA as we know, agency, wants to understand the science behind what makes people violent and then find ways to hijack their minds by implanting false and believable stories in their brains. It sounds like I need re-education. And once again, Sleeper. Everyone check that out. He gets reprogrammed to be an active member of society. We're friends, not enemies. So I'm not going to keep going, but oh my goodness.
Oh.
Now also, critics say that this raises ethical issues. Really?
No.
Such as those addressed in the 1971 sci-fi movie A Clockwork Orange, which I have, by the way.
You guys have to see this one. Yeah.
What else is there?
Oh, well, this is one of our favorites. It's
Oh,
unmanned drones in U.S. airspace, not
that's
over
already
Afghanistan or Iraq, right? Now, law enforcement agencies all over the United States are starting to use unmanned drones. Yes, we know that. The Department of Homeland Security is apparently aggressively seeking to expand the use of such drones by local authorities. Now, this is a quote here. The Department of Homeland Security has launched a program to facilitate and accelerate the adoption of small unmanned drones by police and other public safety agencies. An effort that an agency official admitted faces a very big hurdle having to do with privacy. The $4 million Air-Based Technologies Program, which will test and evaluate small unmanned aircraft systems, is designed to be a middleman between drone manufacturers and first responder agencies before they jump into the pool, said John Appleby, the manager of the DHS Science and Technology Directorate's Division of Borders and Maritime Security. The fact that very few Americans seem unconcerned about this development says a lot about where we are as a nation. Well, where you are anyway. The EPA is already using drones to spy on cattle ranchers in Nebraska and Iowa. Right? Now, guys, Patriot Act 1 and 2, the establishment of Homeland Security, and the drones, you don't think something's going on that's not really right? I don't know. Dave, what's the next one?
Well, look, I don't want us to run out of time, and I really want to just to do something really quick, Mick.
Do it.
Please, because I know we've got a lot of stuff, but
we'll do it next time. We'll do it next time.
Are you sure?
100%, dude.
All right, we'll do it next time. We are up to number 6.
Correct, sir.
Is that right?
That's the one.
Although this is law enforcement using your own cell phone to spy on you.
Bye-bye.
Now, we've heard from the whistleblowers that the NSA can turn on and off your microphone and video at will, whenever they want.
That's correct.
Anyone with a smart TV, good luck with that. That's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's just for you, Stu. Good luck with that. Although this is not new technology. Huh? What?
Uh-huh.
Not new technology. I mean, they've probably been able to do it on PCs for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
The NSA.dll, by the way, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Law enforcement authorities are using our own cell phones to spy on us more extensively than ever before, as a recent Wired article described. Mobile carriers responded to a staggering 1.3 million law enforcement requests last year for subscriber information, including text messages and phone location data, according to data provided to Congress. Congress! Mm-hmm. Listen, in this country, your mobile phone is considered a diary and is able to, at request, to be unlocked at a traffic stop. Mm-hmm. And they can download or phone copy your phone and determine whether you'd been texting or doing anything where you want to call, all of these different things, because it is illegal to touch your phone unless it's in a holder in this country. However, the law is very iffy when it comes to how much data that they may have access to at any time. It's just been left wide open.
Yep.
All right. So there's been a couple of landmark cases in this country which have also led to there being laws developed, because there weren't any laws developed, like pre-9/11, for electronic security in this country, in Australia especially. So it didn't give them jurisdiction to look electronically through anything or request anything from any ISPs. Now it's all completely transparent to the government. So just letting you know, don't do anything. Remember, the internet is military. Nothing's... You live, I suppose, in the Matrix quite happily,
yes,
knowing that this is meant to taste like meat and it tastes juicy. Yeah, but it isn't, guys.
We are going to have a show on the holographic universe very soon.
Oh, yes, please.
Which will be even more disturbing than today's show, I would wager.
Okay.
Dave, did you want to give your wrap up and then we finish off the rest on the next show?
Yeah, look, all I wanted to say was I just had these points. Okay, now this is talking about what kind of changes and how does it feel to be a person living in this era right now. Mm-hmm. All the things that these are the main points of the book, 1984. Big Brother is watching you. And we know that the NSA echelon are doing that globally. The government can watch you through your TV. Well, in reality, we just talked about, the NSA can look through your phone, video and audio at will. Your life is restricted. Nowadays, it is done via restrictions to money and the fake cost of living, with the levies and taxes we are all imposed upon us. Of course, laws and rules and everything that is bonding this panopticon around us. Yeah?
Yes, sir. That's the one.
Watching government TV and propaganda. We know there's really only 5 global newsmakers that control all the news around the world. And they're controlled by the government. So there's no real news or investigations. There's no real new... Yeah, you don't see people going off finding their own stories anymore. It's all... They just tear the sheet off from the Reuters feed and they just read it ad verbatim, yeah? The government's stopped stories from running as well. Also, our government has just said, well, we're not going to tell you. We're not going to even publicise how many boats are arriving at our shores anymore.
Yep.
Why not? We want to know. Oh, you're not allowed to know anymore. Okay.
No
one argued.
Hey,
They
you.
just accepted it.
No chocolate for you, ever. What?
Yeah. Okay, the government modifies history. So, Meki, are you down on the page?
I'm paging.
Okay, government modifies history and controls the knowledge.
Yes, sir. And that's
There
the
is-
music already?
That's it.
It's early. Okay.
We're only halfway through the sum up, but you're gonna get the rest of it. You know what? Next week.
Yeah, guys, next week, dial in. We're going to finish 1984 and totalitarian rule and all this wonderful stuff which keeps us up at night.
Perpetually. Take care, guys. See, that rolled around fast.
That came real quick. In fact, quicker than... I thought we had another 3 minutes, mate.
Yeah, no, 3 minutes to the hour, yeah.
Wow.